Hey guys, we got a very special episode today. We have the pastor of Burg Church, Pastor Wesley.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
I know me and you were talking about this for stuff.
Yeah.
I had a friend tell me, was like, "What's the biggest thing you want on this podcast?" And I'm like, "I want to open up local businesses or even churches around the podcast.
Yeah.
Because if we're getting viewed in different countries, we could open the eyes for everybody else. Like, oh,
Right.
they got all these companies and stuff."
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great. It's always good to help people get notoriety. And there's a lot of really cool things and good things that people can be a part of. Organizations, churches, different places to take their kids and let them run around. There's all types of things that people don't even know about. So helping anybody get some type of notoriety is always a beneficial.
Yes. I will say, guys, before I started going to church, I started having like big headaches, and then I came in for that men's Bible study for the first time, and then all my headaches disappeared.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's very cool. Very,
So I was
very
like,
cool.
this must be the church I need to go to.
Yeah. Wow. How about that, man? It's amazing.
Yeah. What sparked your interest in being a pastor in the church?
So I was told a lot when I was young that I was going to be in the ministry. I grew up in the church. My whole life was surrounded by it. Had my own little ventures of figuring life out on my own, and uh, had basically a come to Jesus meeting inside of this service in a tent, to where I finally was like, "All right, God, I'm done ignoring you. I understand what you're asking of me, and I'm ready to give myself to you." So I think that one of my friends told me a long time ago, he said, if you can do anything else, do it, because it's such a heavy job. From the outside perspective, it looks like people who just talk for an hour on a Sunday, but there's so much more to it. Um, and like a lot, the beginning, I was uncertain, but now as I'm here today, I know that I would be very sad doing anything else.
What is your favorite Bible verse?
My favorite Bible verse is Jeremiah 17:8.
Okay.
And it talks about being like a tree that's planted, and its roots are so deep that when the winds and waves come and the dry season comes, when things get difficult, it says you'll still produce much fruit. So um, for me, it helps me look for. I think you can grow in every season. You can learn something in every situation from every person, and so it helps me remind myself that no matter how difficult things may be, there can still be fruit.
Yes.
So that's the verse that I write and read a lot.
What is your understanding of the core documents of our faith?
So when you say core documents, what does that mean?
Beats me. I just had someone write up all my questions.
There you
I
go.
was like,
Got it. So I think that for us, we are a cover to cover church. What I mean by that is I believe that the entire Bible is true, that it's the inspired word of God, that every word is written for a reason. So when I base my beliefs on something, when you say something about a core doctrine, core values, I believe all of that is from the gospel and from the Bible, which we believe fully to be true, and try to study every day and learn more about it. I don't think you'll ever fully understand all of it, but the beautiful thing about the Word of God is that you can always learn something new each day.
how do you interpret the Bible?
How do you interpret the Bible? So when I read it, I always look through the lens of what is Jesus trying to teach us through each story. I think a lot of times people can read the Bible and they're trying to interpret themselves as the hero. So a lot of us will read David and Goliath and we'll teach sermons of like, what are the hard things that you're facing that you need to slay? And for me, I think that anytime that we put ourselves in the hero, that we're interpreting the Bible incorrectly, because Christ is the hero,
Yeah.
and we are just the beneficiaries of his victory. So I think when I read the Bible, I try to make sure I put Christ in the place that he was designed to be, and I put myself in the place that I was designed to be, but also try to grow in everything that we read and understand.
What is your perspective on like? Can you say that word? I can see.
On contemporary issues related to our denomination. So one of the things I love about the Assemblies of God, we are an Assemblies of God church at the Burg Church, Harrisburg, North Carolina. The Assemblies of God is one of the fastest growing denominations. It's also a cooperative fellowship. So the governance is a little different than other denominations in the way that it's set up. But I believe that it's important for you to be aware of what's going on. It's important for you to do your duties as an American citizen or wherever you're from, to be passionate about where you are and benefiting your community. But I think, as for me as a pastor, I'm passionate about these things as an American citizen, but my first citizenship is my first responsibility, my first priority is that I'm a child of God. Yeah. So as a pastor, you'll hear some people who will do a lot of political movement things. For me, I want everybody to walk away hearing the gospel. That's the most important thing to me, because I believe the gospel preaches on all of the issues that we're concerned.
How do you describe your leadership style?
That is a great question, and I feel like asking my staff would probably be better than asking me. Some of our culture statements as a staff is who we are, is we lead from the front with action and not the back with words. So I do believe in delegation. I believe in training and equipping the saints. That's the purpose of the pastor and the church staff, to do the work of the ministry. But I strive to be the person who is the same on and off the stage. I strive to be the person who leads by example with my actions and not just tells people what to do with my words. So I would say maybe my example, I'm loving, I'm more I strive to be more relational. So I don't know. They would answer that question probably better than what I think of myself.
How do you plan to involve the congregation and decision?
So the way that our church is set up is we are a pastor and elder-led church. So we have 7 elders inside of our church. Every church is different inside their governance, the way that they feel like the Lord has called them to set their church up. For us, the congregation is very involved when it comes to serving, when it comes to groups. Like the congregation is the church. The church is not the building. The church is not the pastor. The church is the body of Christ, which is the people inside of it, which is the bride of Christ, which means we must prioritize them. But it varies on levels. The scripture is very clear on how the church is meant to be set up and who God provided to be in different roles. I'm very grateful for the 7 elders that we have, who God's brought into place here to bring accountability and encouragement to the decisions.
How do you handle the conflict with the church community?
I think that it describes how to handle conflict very simply in the Bible, and you're supposed to go to the person one-on-one. You're supposed to have a private conversation and try to bring resolution, and if that's not, you call the elders of the church, and you bring in another person with wisdom to help navigate that situation. For me, I think that a lot of things that may seem like big deals aren't really big deals. Yep. So my hope is to bring everybody back to the most important thing and focused on what the most important thing is, and hopefully find some type of resolution. My family, we grew up very differently. We our confrontation wasn't a foreign language, but it wasn't a negative thing either. It was always a positive outcome, and we did it quickly because we knew that we could get past it quickly. Yeah. So I think you have to handle everything in love while also prioritizing truth. Do that. It always works out good.
What is your approach to seminar preparations?
Oh, my sermon preps? Yes. So I think that is sometimes different on the sermons. There's exegetical preaching, which is kind of going word for word through the scripture. This is what this looks like, which is probably what I lean towards more. And then there's topical preaching that's talking about an idea or a specific topic that you focus on. But for me, the first person that I always go to isn't people. It isn't other sermons. It's not ChatGPT. It's first thing that I do is, God, what do you want to speak to your people through this word? Like right now we're going through Exodus. And so we'll go through those chapters. Before I even read it, it's like, God, give me clarity, give me understanding on what you want to speak to your people. Because this isn't my idea. I just want people I want to be God to speak through me to people. Yeah. And not just hear my opinions. So the first thing that I do is just ask him for clarity and wisdom and read the word. What does it say? What is it teaching us? Just kind of flow through it that way and try to make it make sense. I'm not a huge vocabulary or well alliterated type of person, so we just kind of simply go through.
How do you balance the theological depth with accessibility for the congregation?
It's a good question. I think for me, I would rather people know the truth.
Yeah.
I don't want to sacrifice being a good leader for being a light leader. So I always preach the truth as a whole. I think that sometimes we can overcomplicate things, and that's when it becomes too much. But, Christ says above all things, love is the most important. And there's many different passages. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your enemies. Talks about all the attributes, and love is the greatest of these. All these things. I think that people are hungry to hear the full truth, but you just have to share it. And it's not this is what I think. It's a lot easier to share theological truths of the Bible. It's not about, this is what I think. This is just what the Bible says. Yeah.
All right. So can I get you to put a 50-second timer in your phone for this little segment we're going to do?
Sure.
So guys, if you guys do know, this is my little favorite segment I do in every episode. It is called Trev Shock. And it's like when you're in those business meetings, you have rapid fire questions.
Love it. Rapid fire. Quick thinking.
Some minor questions.
50 seconds.
With the wrestlers. We have it where I want fans to open. They want to open up to the fans. So
yeah.
You go to a show like, oh, I love this random guy named John Schuyler. What his favorite candy is this? I'll bring it to him, see what I can work in the game or something.
Yeah, cool.
Bond over.
Yeah, cool. 50 seconds. I'm going to start it when you tell me to go.
Okay, so after I finish reading the first question, that's when we start.
Got it.
Favorite thing to do outside of the church?
Play golf.
Favorite color?
Purple.
Favorite snack?
Blueberries.
Favorite type of music?
That really depends on the mood. I listen to all of it. But probably, it's a churchy answer to say worship. Shout out Kane the band.
Favorite song?
Favorite song? That's very hard. This is a very specific answer. If I had to listen to one song for the rest of my life, it's Bon Iver. I Can't Make You Love Me.
Favorite sports team?
Baltimore Ravens.
Okay. So you beat it with 10 seconds.
Let's go.
It's not the record. I don't know how
that's okay.
The record guy beat it with 35 seconds remaining.
Yeah, some of those songs are hard. Some of the music things I have too many things that it just depends on what kind of mood I'm in. It's my favorite. Snacks, if you need something sweet or you need something salty, it's kind of hard.
Yeah. It depends for me because I'll go to Earth Fair and get the roast almond that's covered in sugar.
That's a good one. I get those from Bucky's.
Oh, they got them?
Yeah. Really? You guys need to come after him in the comments for not ever been to Bucky's.
I think it's just because I've never hit a room. But I think Charlotte's getting one soon.
I don't know.
I know they're getting.
We'll find out.
In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah. Yeah. With the one we go to is anytime we go to Myrtle Beach, we stop by Bucky's. In somewhere in South Carolina. Lawrence. That's what it is.
How do you interpret personal stories and current events into your seminars?
I think that I will always write my sermon first and then try to look through stories that help explain. But sometimes stories just come on a whim because I'm already a squirrel brain type of person. But I think that it's anytime, Jesus did this. Jesus shared story after story after story. He used parables to speak to people to give them clarity on what he was teaching them. So he would teach the gospel. He would connect all of that to these stories that he would give them that would help them understand the truth. So for me, I'm always telling stories to support the truth of the gospel, not try to use the story to manipulate perspective.
What are your ideas for reaching out to the community beyond the church walls?
We have many different ministries that are outside of the church right now. We have a homeless shelter that we partner with that we support greatly. They stream our services every week. We also bring food. The people who come to our church run that. They're there like 24/7. We've got multiple different organizations. Our church as a whole, it's like a toot the horn of us movement, but we just prioritize supporting missionaries and nonprofit missions organizations. We gave away $100,000 last year to support people. We prioritize, not just telling people to come here, but to go out to be the awesome Jesus.
How do you envision building relationships with the local organizations?
I think it just starts with being present. Anytime you can show up, just let them know you're there. Great relationship with many organizations around, and especially the local government and people there. We want to support our community and the families inside.
What experience do you have in leading mission? I don't know.
Missions initiatives. Well, if that's missions trips, I've been on a few missions trips. My wife has been on way more. If that's creating new initiatives, my heart right now is where a new church is partnering with those who already have the structure and foundation set, and just help them continue to fulfill the mission through partnering with them together. So it's less let's start our own thing and more who's doing what's working already. Add fuel.
How do you approach providing pastoral care to individuals and families facing challenges?
So pastoring, 5%, I'd say less than 5% is preaching the word, and way more of that is walking through seasons with people. Like I'm doing tons of weddings this year, already done a couple funerals. It's just building relationship and not being somebody who's untouchable. Like I pride myself on, when I'm in the lobby or playing with my kids outside, people come up, talk to me, and even those Sundays, like I'm basically a zombie by the end of the day after it being such a long day. I think it's just walking in real relationship with people and not being untouchable.
The one thing I always did find funny, every time when you did the business meetings, you would always like add on the numbers of services in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, we have to give space for people to come and see what's happening. And right now we have the challenge, which is also a great opportunity with the small space that we have in a quickly growing church. So Easter Sunday will be 4 services so that we can create space for people to come and see, to hear the gospel, and not feel like they're being crammed in a room, and there's space for their kids to be taken care of and things like that. So yeah, we'll do whatever it takes to make sure that there's a place for somebody.
How do you balance the needs of different demographics with the conversation?
That's a great question. I think you operate in grace, and you remember that everyone is God's people. And I think that world would be a different place if we would view everyone around us as God's creation, as opposed to just whatever our perspective is.
How do you provide support to people experiencing grief or crisis?
Love and presence. For us, Crystal and I went through something major last year. She was pregnant with the 3rd baby. We found out we lost the baby at 14 weeks, and the people who impacted our life the most were the ones who were present. And not just in the moment, but later on, letting us know that they're with us, they're encouraging us. And so I think that's just, sometimes people don't need you to tell them that you know what they're feeling, or anything else than just being present.
What is your vision for the future of this church?
So our vision for the Burg is to help people follow Jesus and make disciples. And there's 126,000 people who don't know Christ in our county, and believing for God to use this place to help change that number. Yeah. So it's just love people like Jesus did to find life change.
How do you plan to address the specific needs for your congregation?
I think that happens through good strategy and good team, and they make sure that happens.
What were your key priorities for the first year in the role of starting with the Burg Church?
That's a great question. The things that I prioritized in the first year was probably making sure that uh, people knew what was going on, clarity and communication, um, being a healthy leader, uh, setting a good foundation for something to be built upon. It's probably the best answer.
I know you've said this a bunch of services, the history of the Burg Church, how it got started.
So Crystal and I were in youth ministry for 9 years. And then I had a dream. Didn't know what that dream meant, but I remembered it very vividly. I told my mentor about the dream the next day. And in that moment, I felt the Lord giving me clarity. I came and told Crystal about it. And we wrote down the same thing separately, brought it back together on a piece of paper that we were called to plant a church in Harrisburg, North Carolina. And so I told my then boss at the time and jumped into that venture.
Okay, guys, now since you know what town I'm in, do not come to my work in Stockton.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You 3 people, you know who you are. How do you see yourself fitting into the unique culture of our church?
Ask that one again.
How do you see yourself fitting into the unique culture of the church?
Myself? I don't know. I just think that being yourself is important. I also think that there comes balance because there's this whole idea of living your truth, everything. So then everything that I think is gospel instead of the gospel itself. So I think it's just learning more about who Christ has called myself to be and how He's designed me, and committing to be that person.
What are your thoughts on current worship styles and how might you adapt to them?
I think it's great. I think that there is more diversity through Christian music than there ever has been before. Solid. I mean, you can find anything from rock to hymns to screamo to rap to country music. Like there's more now than there ever has been. So I think that that's a beautiful thing.
Because I remember when I was living in New York for 3 months, there was this guy that was pepped up on my Facebook feed. It was a cowboy church. Awesome. I was like, okay, this is different.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me check it out. Like every verse he did from the Bible, he would break into a song talking about the verse, and it's like interesting.
Yeah, everybody's got their own flair.
Yes. How do you plan to encourage with our youth and young adults?
I think that young people are very important. I think that they need a space to find healthy friends and walk in relationship with one another and learn more about who God has called them to be. So we prioritize those ministries by creating spaces for them to happen.
Got any questions for me?
What has been your experience at
the Burg Church? So every time, for some reason, when you do the hand raising when everyone's eyes are closed, I would do mine, but then my left eye would start tearing up, just that eye alone. And I'm like, okay. I was like, this is like my favorite experience, I guess. But also going to like the men's Bible study on Mondays. I was like connecting with everybody.
Yeah, cool.
Because besides me in the wrestling industry, you're catching me outside of the wrestling industry just being me. Versus I go to shows and everybody just sees, oh, it's Trevor.
Yeah.
This guy that's quiet, sits in the back, doesn't say a word, sells t-shirts and 8 buttons, and that is it. All right. Any other questions?
How'd you get into wrestling?
So my dad has been making me watch wrestling when I was a kid, since I was born. But I remember watching Jeff Hardy and CM Punk. They had this big feud. Like CM Punk brought up Jeff Hardy's drug problems and everything live on TV. And it turned to the point where like he had brought up a pair of eye drops and hold it up. He's like, you know, you get this is from the doctors, not behind the counters or from the roads and everything. So I was like, okay, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
I enjoy the storyline just because it's making it personal and you get to know a little bit of the person's past, which at the time I knew about Jeff's problems since I've been watching that guy since I was 6, since it was 2012 going on. Like he had a drug problem, left, got fired from the company because of it. Went to another company, went on the stage, drunk and everything, went up the stage, the ring, formed drunk and everything, and then had management come out and drag him out of there.
Mm.
So that's how.
Who's your favorite wrestler?
Guys, I'm gonna get hate for this, but Bray won't. Even though no one's gonna really hate that because he just passed 3 years ago. And it's
Who's your favorite current wrestler? That's a lot.
That's a hard one. I'm gonna go with Alex Shelley as a show.
There you go. There you go.
And if you guys are wondering where the name Trevor came from, my best friend's name is Trevor Care from the Charlotte Checkers. Congrats, Trevor, on being a dad. Hope to one day meet that kid whenever we bring him to the arena. So that's how Trevor Shelley came along. But Trevor Shelley's in a reboot, guys. So see that coming soon.
Cool. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Enjoyed it.
So.